America, we've got issues.
My therapist put her political agenda before my mental health.
Some therapists have actually said, I can't see you if you embrace certain beliefs.
So huge chunks of the country that just are being excluded from care.
I believe there are two sexes, and I want to make sure you understand that before you start with me.
Therapy is so important, but do I have to worry about them putting their political bias before my mental health?
I guess the bottom line is you just can't all have Dr. Phil. Well, America, we've got issues. None more evident than when it comes to supposedly trusted professionals and big businesses using their social and political biases to attack every facet of this country. And you know, I have been very vocal about this. We have social media platforms censoring free speech, particularly political viewpoints. I've seen this just in the last few days. I put up a video about Israel. Choked right down until it disappeared. Media outlets foregoing journalistic integrity in an attempt to sway elections. Institutions of higher education endorsing what I call intellectual rot and allowing activism to supersede what's best for students. Corporations running their own agendas and turning a blind eye to meritocracy. And there is so much more, including now many claiming mental health professionals, with the majority being liberal, bringing their socio-political agendas into therapy sessions, resulting in many conservative therapists feeling attacked and patients feeling the need to censor themselves or forego much-needed treatment completely. Take a look.
My therapist put her political agenda before my mental health.
I created a directory for conservative clients to avoid bias from liberal therapists.
Therapists are being doxxed and canceled based on their own political beliefs.
Therapy has always been my safe place, but I don't have that anymore.
Cancel culture is real for therapists who voice their political opinions online.
Well, is this perception or reality? To see just how prevalent bias is in therapy, we conducted a survey and asked, have you been unable to find a therapist or counselor who can be unbiased about your opinion about social political issues? Shockingly, 34% of respondents said yes. They are unable to find an unbiased therapist. My first guess is Dr. Andrew Hartz. Now, Dr. Hartz is a well-respected clinical psychologist who not only has written numerous published articles on mental health, but is also the founder of the Open Therapy Institute, an organization focused on removing bias from mental health care across the country.
The mental health field has gotten much more biased, especially over the past decade. A focus on identity politics in particular is really starting to dominate training and come into treatment at institutes, hospitals, universities. Where the problem lies is that the field is prioritizing political ideologies and becoming less patient-centered. The Open Therapy Institute is highlighting perspectives and issues that are overlooked in the field because of political bias. Like, if you're dealing with anti-white racial aggression, you're probably self-censoring about it, and you probably feel pretty isolated about it. And maybe you're afraid of speaking up because you think you're gonna get canceled. It's not uncommon for one person to have 5 issues on that chart. I've been at training clinics where I was taught that at the beginning of treatment, the first question is, what are your pronouns? I've also been at places that said that every therapy needed to talk about race. There are some therapists who will actively confront patients about politics. There's also subtler forms of bias where they might just avoid topics or shut down conversations. Research has shown that about 9 out of 10 therapists are liberal, and over time, this has contributed to more people avoiding care altogether. People are impacted by what's happening in the culture, and it comes into the therapy room. So therapists need to be skilled in how to respond to these issues.
It's good to see you. You and I met, gosh, it's been over a year ago, right?
Yeah.
And that happened because I read an article that you had written, and I was so impacted by it that I sent you an email, right?
Yeah.
And commented on what you were doing and how important I thought it was. Talk about what you are doing with open therapy and what's the objective and the intent.
So we're addressing socio-political bias throughout mental health care. We're looking at issues that are overlooked because of bias, patient populations that are overlooked because of bias, and different skills therapists need to develop to work with diverse viewpoints.
Why did this hit your radar?
I saw the field becoming intensely politicized, where at the beginning, there wasn't a lot of politics in training, and by the end, it was every week, sometimes every day, of very politicized trainings.
I was trained a long time ago. I remember carrying the stone tablets into, but never was there a focus on political issues, psychosocial issues. It was all clinical. I understand now that parts of the protocol have to do with actually dealing with political issues, at least psychosocial issues that we would never have even thought about being part of the narrative between a client and their therapist.
100%. I mean, the field is losing its focus on patient-centered care. And these new treatment models that are being rolled out are not patient-centered. They prioritize social justice around race, gender, sexuality, other issues above what's in the best interest for the patient. So it's not uncommon for therapists to attack their patients as racist or sexist or move the conversation towards these social justice issues, even when that's not a patient concern.
You've identified 50 to 60 political issues where bias is at play.
So it's people who have aggressively politicized training at work, people who are harassed for their viewpoint or canceled, people who self-censor, masculinity issues, faith-based issues, things that conservative patients might experience in therapy. Some of them are controversial, like women who experience regret about having an abortion. It's not such a rare experience, but it comes up in therapy, and therapists need to be skilled at responding in a patient-centered way to these issues.
I don't want our conversation here to keep people from seeking care.
Right.
I don't want to sensationalize this. I don't want to overblow it, but I'm real strong on giving people a sense that there is a bill of patient rights, and patients have the right to say, what do you do? What's your training? What are my rights? Do I have the right to exclude this?
Right.
Patients have the right to set boundaries, correct?
Yes.
And some therapists have actually said, I can't see you if you embrace certain beliefs. I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah, some clinics, for example, that just say, we're not supporting Trump voters. That happened to a colleague of mine. So huge chunks of the country that just are being excluded from care at certain places.
If somebody comes in wearing a MAGA hat and somebody says, hey, listen, I just can't help you with your depression. I can't help you with your marital discord. I can't help you with your parenting issues because you're wearing a MAGA hat, and that tells me all I need to know about you. I can't help you. How is that even possible?
Right. I think the field is losing its focus from patient-centered care. And you're right. A decade or two ago, that wouldn't have happened. Some things changed in the field in the past 10 years.
All right. Well, look, we're going to add someone in the conversation in a minute. A teen who says her therapist crossed the line after subjecting her to a shocking political rant. We're going to meet this young woman after the break. War in Iran is heating up, and the fallout's reaching us fast. Markets are rattled, global confidence is shaky, and investors are bracing for what's next. This week alone, hedge funds moved billions into hard assets, while central banks quietly stockpiled gold. In times like these, smart people don't sit back. They move towards safety. For me, that means gold and silver. Secure your future now while there's still time. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. Gold is already up big this year, and with more volatility ahead, you cannot afford to wait. You could even get up to $15,000 in free silver with a qualified purchase. Don't wait for the next market shock. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 now before it's too late. Well, my next guest, Claire, says as a teen, navigating her life, therapy had always been her safe place. But she says that all changed when her trusted therapist of 4 years. Now, let me stop on that. Her trusted therapist of 4 years. That means there had been a real investment in this therapeutic relationship. A lot of time spent, a lot of rapport building, a lot of effort and energy into building a trust relationship. A lot of history had gone into this. Changed from offering support to pushing an extreme political agenda. Now, Claire says the betrayal that she felt left her feeling abandoned right before she left for college. She says this was a time that she needed her therapist the most.
My therapist was a mother figure to me. We were really, really close. She's Jewish and I'm pagan, but she never, ever made me feel uncomfortable. In summer 2023, my therapist decided to move her and her whole family to Israel because she didn't feel safe. So once she moved away, we started doing therapy sessions online. In August 2024, she was in San Diego, and I was ecstatic. So we met up at the park near my house. And the therapy session was really good up until I started talking about college that I'm going to.
Well, I packed everything.
She said, I have to tell you something that breaches what we should be saying. I assumed it would be something really heartwarming, and instead she told me that college is basically a scam because all my professors are trying to indoctrinate me and I can't trust anyone but her. It was very heavily political and it made me feel super uncomfortable. My first emotional reaction was anger. You've been my therapist for 4 years and you're gonna ruin it all because you needed to share this political bias with me. Losing a therapist was heartbreaking, but I know I cannot go back to somebody who decides to put their political views and bias before my mental health.
4 years is a lot of investment, right?
Yeah. I think anyone in therapy knows it's so hard to find a good therapist, and it just clicked with her, and I haven't clicked with any therapist like that. She was a mother figure to me, and it's hard to lose that.
Yeah. What happened? What brought it about? I mean, clearly she was giving you all these catastrophic views of going to college.
So she moved into a very politically heavy area. She moved to Israel about a couple weeks before it all started happening, and she had an opportunity to come home, and we had kind of almost stopped seeing each other because I can't really do online therapy. It just doesn't work for me, and the lag, and she didn't seem very connected to me as much. And I saw her, we had a good therapy session, and then she went on a 15-minute rant about how college is a scam and everything that I'm learning is wrong and that I can't believe anyone but her. And I just had to sit there and listen because I didn't want to aggravate her. I mean, she's someone so close to me. I just sat and let it happen.
And she told you not to trust your professors. They're going to brainwash you. The government's behind it all.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
No, I can't see any therapeutic rationale for injecting politics into a session that way.
But there is a place, and tell me if you agree or disagree with this, and I know you will, but there is a place where a therapist, within certain boundaries, you do have relationship building. There is a point where you build some trust, there is some personal disclosure, there is some bonding that takes place. It's not like robot spitting out evidence-based therapy elements, pop, 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 pop. There has to be some humanizing, what Carl Rogers would call it empathy, warmth, and genuineness, where there is some human connection that makes it feel real. And you felt that with her, right?
Of course.
There was a connection within boundaries. There has to be some humanizing of the process.
100%. And there are times when therapists make disclosures and it's good for treatment.
They might relate a story or an experience that they've had. It stays client-centered, but they might personalize or humanize to put a face on it to make it real. But to project their values onto someone, it sounded very much like that therapists needed therapy and took it out on you.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And did that cause you to be less likely to seek support elsewise?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just moved, so obviously I haven't even started looking for a therapist. I'd love to have one just because I think that therapy is so important in today's age. I think even small issues can be so much more helpful when you talk to somebody professionally. But I have to worry about, I won't have this connection with this therapist as I did with my old one, or do I have to worry about them putting their political bias before my mental health?
Yeah, and this happened after 4 years.
Right, 4 years, I never thought this would happen. It was baffling.
Yeah. Yeah, that might have had some, well, might have been a little over-involved on her part as well, but that's a whole other issue. But are there things that you can do that you feel like you could assert in a relationship to protect yourself going forward and initiate another relationship?
Yeah, I think I'm just definitely gonna tell my new therapist, hey, this is something that's happened to me, and hopefully they are understanding of it just like they're understanding of all the things that I've gone through, because that's what a therapist should do. They should be listening and they should be helping.
Yeah. So you might start a relationship by saying, let's talk about boundaries here.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn what you think about A, B, and C, so let's talk about me.
I just didn't think that I'd have to put boundaries down, and my therapist of 4 years, I thought, their job is you listen to everything they say. That's the whole point of a therapist. They're giving you information that they've been taught to help you, and you listen. So you break all your protective walls and your barriers and your mental health concerns down, and you listen. So for that to happen, it definitely puts up even more protective layers and more guards.
Yeah, I'm not saying you should have to do that, but it is what it is. And I would rather you have to assert yourself some in the beginning and check in on that than not have something that might help you as you navigate a new phase in your life, being in college on your own for the first time, facing some new challenges, needing maybe a check-in. What would your advice be, doctor?
I think there are good therapists out there, and you can find somebody. And I think talking about this in particular could be tremendously helpful if you get the right therapist.
Yeah, and giving it a voice does help.
Yeah, I think that even just sharing my story on social media has been helpful. The responses that I got on TikTok, where the original video where you guys found me was tremendous. I felt comforted just telling my story and even coming here so that other kids don't have to deal with what I dealt with. And
I guess the bottom line is you just can't all have Dr. Phil. I mean, just kidding. All right. Just kidding. Just kidding. Next, we're going to add to the conversation a licensed therapist who says she requires all prospective clients to check her social media so they know she is a conservative who only deals in reality and will challenge any non-fact-based position on social justice topics. We're going to add her to the conversation after the break. My next guest, Soad, is a respected licensed marriage and family therapist who admits she is not shy about sharing her conservative opinions on social media. She says she refuses to allow her liberal patients to play the victim, and in order to best help them, will challenge their non-reality-based feelings on any social justice topic.
One of the things that I do prior to actually beginning sessions with a client is we have a consultation. I tell them to go to my social media. Make sure that they're very comfortable with what they see. They will find me loving Trump. They will find me disliking Kamala. They will find me possibly making fun of progressive views. There was a huge shift that happened in 2016 when Trump won, and politics entered the therapy room.
It's a very sad thing because there is now a huge divide between my liberal colleagues and myself, who is more conservative. They do not believe that I have a place in this field and I have no right to take care of any clients whatsoever.
There is a distinct difference I have noticed between liberal patients or conservative ones. And most times it has to do with the way they view being a victim. Liberals tend to take on that victimhood personality. For example, I can have someone come to me and say, I didn't get a promotion because I'm a girl. And I push back and challenge and say, is it because you're a girl or is it that you just suck? When I work with clients, the number one baseline that I work with is reality. Not my truth or their truth, but the actual truth of life. It's very open and honest, and it's very me.
So, Ed, you say you receive hateful comments from a lot of your liberal colleagues.
Yes.
Like what?
That I shouldn't be in the position that I'm at because I have no morals. I'm a racist, I'm a homophobe, I'm a transphobe, every phobe, every ism, only because I voted for Trump and I'm also a conservative.
And you say if somebody is coming in to see you, you require them to look at your social media and all so they know what they're getting when they come.
Absolutely. So I fully believe that in the therapy room, that is not a time for me to talk about who I am or what I'm about. But I do think it's fair that they have some kind of inkling of what I'm about. Make sure that you're comfortable with my values, because that's who's going to be helping you. I'm a pivotal part of their life. I'm someone that's going to be guiding them in some way, and I want them to trust me. So that's why I do it, because once we're in the therapy room, I say nothing about myself.
I used to sleep terribly, but thankfully I found Beam's Dream Powder, a science-backed, healthy nighttime blend that's packed with ingredients shown to improve sleep. Plus, Beam is founded in America and run by people who share our values like hard work and integrity. Their Dream Powder is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. Beam's already improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep, helping people wake up and feel their best. Here's the deal. Beam's giving my listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of up to 40% off so you can try their best-selling Dream Powder. Visit shopbeam.com/Dr. Phil and use code Dr. Phil at checkout for up to 40% off. That's shopbeam.com/Dr. Phil. Code Dr. Phil for up to 40% off. Support an American company. Invest in yourself and get your best sleep tonight. We have a list of the topics that you challenge clients on. Climate change, abortion, sexism at work, racism, vaccines, book bans, poly relationships versus monogamous relationships. Men are all horrible and misogynistic. Female beliefs about career goals and family goals, CRT in schools, BLM. But if somebody comes to you because they're kind of stuck in grief, for example, none of this would ever come up.
Never. I meet my clients where they're at. If none of that comes up, then it's about what's in the room. And if they came to me about grief and someone passing away and that's what they're struggling with, if they happen to mention any of those things within that topic, I still wouldn't push that topic. The topic is grief. And that's what I have to help them with.
How would these things come up? I mean,
so the example that I gave during my interview is I've had female clients. I see a lot of female clients that are in the tech world who feel sometimes that they don't get promotions because of their sex. And so I challenge that and push that because I know them. I've spent years with them. I know what they're good at and I know what they're not good at. So I may know that they're actually someone that's not really up for promotion. Like, I wouldn't pick you myself. There are things that you're lacking. And so I gently kind of say, I don't necessarily say they suck, but I do try to say like, hey, is it really that you're a female? Or remember last week when you told me how you left work 3 hours early and you had no remorse about it? Can we talk about that? And maybe that's how it plays into this. That's how I challenge them.
why is it important that they read your social media in order for you to give them a reality check?
I'll give an example. I have quite a few trans-identified clients. Prior to them beginning with me, I mentioned to them, please go to my social media, because I believe there are two sexes. And I want to make sure you understand that before you start with me. I am not going to placate into this. They need to be comfortable with me having that baseline of reality. And if they're not comfortable with that, then definitely I'll give you the referrals to go find another therapist.
Well, here are some examples of your social media posts. Democrats spent the last year pushing for felons to vote, only to shame us for voting for a felon. Any gender-affirming surgery done on a child is pure evil, no other way of looking at it, period. Men cannot be women. The audience at the DNC is proof mind control is real. Children are imaginative, creative, explorative, curious, and confused. They are not trans. So those are fair representations of the kind of things?
100%. I believe in all of those statements.
Andrew, how do you see having a client?
I think when you have your patients read your social media prior to starting treatment, it puts those issues in the treatment, even if they're not necessarily pertinent. I wouldn't disclose those things unless there was a specific treatment-focused reason to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And I would agree. I wouldn't bring him into the therapy room.
But if they have to read it before they start therapy with you, I think that is bringing it in.
Okay, and I challenge that as the therapist that I am. If they were to happen to read it afterwards, and we developed a relationship of 4 years, and they find out that I'm someone totally different than what they believe, that I think would be more damaging than if they knew right off the bat who they're actually getting to a relationship with.
I think that you can't disclose everything about your life to the patients before treatment starts, and it shouldn't necessarily come up, especially if it's not the reason why they're there. So.
Correct. In the treatment room, correct.
But you think it's just transparency?
Yes. My social media is mine. Has nothing to do with my treatment with them. 70 to 80% of my clients are liberals. They are very comfortable sitting in the room with me. I don't judge them. I don't hurt them. I don't act like their mom. I act like their therapist. I take care of them. Those are my beliefs and values. And the beautiful part about that is to prove and show we can have differences of opinions and still have relationships. I think we've lost that.
So you think telling them up front might save them time where they say, look, if I'd have known what you thought, I might not have invested all this time with somebody that could not be empathetic with my situation.
Absolutely.